for adopting from the Humane Society of Western Montana. If you're watching this video, that means you've not only opened your door, but your heart to a new furry friend. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Christiana, and I'm an adoption specialist at the Humane Society of Western Montana. And this is my coworker, Drea, who is also an adoption specialist. Today's virtual cat council will cover these topics.
Isolation and adjustment period to make the transition to your new home less stressful, introducing your new cat to your resident pets, and troubleshooting the basics or questions you may have forgotten to ask.
All right, let's get started. Cats are very sensitive animals. Even in the shelter, moving a cat from one cage to another can be stressful enough to cause major behavior issues or health problems. That's why it's so important at the beginning when bringing a new cat home, during that transitional phase, that you have a nice space in your home where they can be safely confined from the rest of your home and your pets. This space could be anything from a bathroom or a small to medium-sized guest room, whatever you would prefer. Isolation does not mean solitary confinement. It doesn't mean that you can't visit with your kitty, that you can't take them out of the space. All it means is that you're giving them some time to adjust to the new house. If you give them too much space all at once, you could have some problems that you may not want to deal with later on, and it's just all around better for everybody. So the biggest question that I usually get when I'm talking about an isolation or adjustment space is how long should I keep my cat in there? 2-week period of time is a good amount of time, and that's usually our minimum requirement that we tell folks to think about. But every cat is different, so base it on what you think, but really try to focus on taking it slow and giving them enough time to adjust to your home. So from here, Drea and I are going to show you how to set up your isolation space. Choosing the right litter box is essential to setting your cat up for success. Although there's a lot of different options out there, erring on the side of caution and picking the simplest litter pan at first is the best option. We really like an uncovered litter box. Probably about this size is good for any size cat or kitten. To start with, it's a good idea to have at least one litter box per cat in your home, and just start with uncovered, and then you can graduate them into a covered litter box as they're using it on a regular basis. The next thing to consider is what kind of litter to use. Just like the litter box, it's better to err on the side of caution and use the simplest thing possible, a scoopable litter without a scent. The other thing to consider is that cats are very fastidious, so you need to make sure you clean the litter box at least once a day.
Here's an example of an isolation space all set up. We used a spare bathroom and put in all the basics that we've been talking about. A simple litter box with scoopable litter, toys, food and water, a nice comfy bed, and a scratching post. We also wanted to make sure to put the bed and the food and water as far away from the litter box as possible to keep it clean and make the cat as comfortable as possible. And now let's do a quick review of the isolation and adjustment period. Set up your new cat in a small room with a door as recommended. Choose a basic litter box to start out with that's uncovered and put in a scoopable unscented litter. Remember that a 2-week period of time is recommended for the isolation and adjustment period, but please be patient, and if your cat needs more time, give it to him.
In our next section, we're going to cover introductions. Doing proper introductions between your new cat and your resident pets is extremely important. Cats are very territorial animals and need to be introduced to new animals very slowly. This is incredibly important for a few different reasons. If you do it too quickly, you can cause aggression and other behavior issues that you don't want to have to deal with later on. In addition, you can cause your cats to become so stressed that they have major medical issues as well. We're going to go over all of the basics of doing both a cat introduction and a cat-dog introduction in the following video. Begin this process by feeding your resident pet and your new pet on either side of the door. Use a very valuable food. If you're doing a dog and a cat, use a wet dog food or some kind of treats, and then a wet cat food, or tuna fish, or even kibble works sometime. The idea is to have both animals have a very positive association with being in close proximity to each other. That way it makes the transition period go even smoother when you are actually going to introduce them later on. After several sessions of successful eating on either side of the door, you can start transitioning into the next phase of introduction, the exploration of your home. Once your new cat seems to be comfortable in their isolation space, eating, drinking, using the litter box on a normal basis, you can start to give them more freedom by letting them explore your house. Start by isolating your resident pets to a safe area where they can't have contact with your new pet. This is a great opportunity for both your resident pet and your new pet to get an idea of how each pet smells. It also gives your new pet the chance to get the lay of the land, check out your house, and have a little bit of an idea of how things are. Once you've let your new cat explore your house a few times and you feel like they're getting comfortable with that, you can start the next process of introductions by actually letting the cats meet. This is going to be a very slow process, and you're going to need at least 2 people for it. Start off with both cats in the same room, one higher than the other, by placing the cat on a countertop, desk, table, whatever works. Cats tend to feel safer if they're higher than what they're afraid of. So start with your resident cat up there. Bring the new cat in, have someone else bring the new cat in, distracting them with wet food, both cats, each one having their nice treat that they're eating. Get them very well and distracted before you ever let them actually meet. Do this a couple of times before you're actually going to let them get face to face. The same goes for dog-cat introductions. The only difference is you're going to have your dog on leash with another person distracting the dog with treats, constantly redirecting their focus, the dog's focus, onto them and not the cat before they ever let them get face to face. Little puffiness, growliness, those are all normal behaviors and you shouldn't have to worry about them. But if it escalates too much, break it up by clapping your hands or whatever you need to do necessary to interrupt the behavior before it gets too intense. Then start over again in a couple of hours. Do this a few times before you actually let the cats meet face to face and walk around together.
Introductions review. Remember that cats are very sensitive creatures, and so taking it slow is really important. Start by feeding your new cat and your resident pets on opposite sides of the door. Then isolate your resident pets and let your new cats explore. And finally, grab a second person and let them be in the same room together.
In this last section of the counsel, I'm going to cover 3 of the most basic things that I get asked every time I do a cat adoption. How do I stop my cat from scratching? How much do I feed my cat and what do I feed them? And what kind of toys do I use to play with my cat? Scratching is an issue that all cat owners run into. Cats will scratch anything they can get their claws on. Your furniture, your floor, your walls, you. It's just their nature. There's a lot of really easy positive things you can do to prevent this from happening, and we're going to go over all of that in this section. The one thing that more than anything we like to discourage all of our adopters from doing is declawing. Declawing is a very painful procedure that can cause major behavior issues and health issues later on. Now we're going to go over a few things that you can do that are really great for your cat. Make sure you have a scratching post for your cat, and maybe several. There's a lot of different kinds out there, and you want to figure out what your cat likes. Every cat's different, and every cat likes a different kind of scratching post. Buy a couple of small, cheap versions first before you invest in an expensive one. This one is a really nice option. It's carpeted and it has a lot of different sides, but there's a lot of other options out there as well. Try everything that's out there, see what your cat likes. Next is nail trimming. Nail trimming is a very easy and effective way to prevent your cat from scratching your furniture and other items in your home. Although it can seem intimidating at first, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. In the back of the packet that we sent you home with when you left with your kitty from the shelter, there's a how-to guide on everything you need to know about nail trimming. If you still feel uncomfortable after you look at that, you can do 2 things. 1, you can call the shelter or get on our website and see our video of how to trim cat nails, or you can talk to your vet or groomer and have them show you how to do it. Whatever works for you. This is a really easy and great way to prevent destructive scratching in your home. Lastly, another alternative to declawing is a product called Soft Claws. These are caps that you place over top of each of your cat's nails that prevent them from actually snagging your furniture or carpet when they scratch. Let's talk about food for a minute. When you left the shelter, we sent you with a bag of Science Diet food. You don't have to keep your cat on Science Diet if you don't want to, but just remember that whatever you decide to switch over, you do it gradually. Switching food too quickly can cause stomach upset and other digestive issues that you probably don't want to deal with in the beginning. If you're wondering how much food to feed your cat, the best thing to do is to look at the side of the bag. Generally, on every bag of cat food, there's going to be a daily feeding requirement or recommendation. Based on your cat's weight and age, follow the requirement on the side of the bag. You can decide if you want to do once-a-day feedings or twice-a-day feedings with your cat or free feed. Every cat's different, and depending on how much cat food your cat actually eats at a time, you can decide what works best for you. A great alternative to feeding your cat in a bowl is an interactive feeding toy. This one is an egg-shaped toy that we really like at the shelter. It's very easy to use, and you can use it with both their daily feeding or with treats, whatever you would like. This gives your cat an opportunity to do something that both stimulates their brain and rewards them constantly when you're not around. It's a great option for at nighttime when you're not able to give your cat the attention that they need, or when you're at work, or at any time that you want to slow them down, or whatever you would like. This is a really nice option and very easy to use. Simply open it up, put your treats or kibble in there, close it shut, adjust the holes on the top, and set it on the floor. What could be easier than that? So there's lots of different kinds of toys that you can play with your cat with. One of our favorites and one of the most effective is one of these wand-style toys. We really like these. Feathers are very enticing to cats, and they love them very much. It's a great way to exercise a cat and keep their brains busy. In addition to those kinds of toys, there's lots of other different options. Jingly balls, sparkly, mice. Pick whatever works best for your home and whatever your cat likes best. Thank you again for adopting from the Humane Society of Western Montana. Hopefully we answered most of your questions. If you have any other questions or if we can help you out any further, please feel free to call us, email us, or check out our website at any time. Congratulations!